Yours, all yours, sir. I'm just the participant here. You're the
Well,
boss.
welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us. My name is Ravi Panekkar. I lead the team and group coaching communities practice for ICF Bangalore Charter Chapter. The duration of today's masterclass is 1.5 hours, with the final 15-20 minutes designated for Q&A. Today's masterclass entails 0.75 CC and 0.75 RD. Participants who attend the full session would be awarded CC certificates by the chapter. Now let me introduce Ramesh. Ramesh enjoys working with people and followed his passion by becoming a full-time leadership coach and facilitator after a 30-year corporate career in senior leadership roles. He's accredited by the International Coaching Federation, ICF, as a Master Certified Coach, MCC, and also holds an advanced certification in team coaching, ACTC. Ramesh has over 3,500 hours of coaching experience, having worked with over 300 leaders and their teams since he started his journey 10 years ago, and is also a certified coach supervisor. Apart from coaching, Ramesh runs various leadership development programs through his organization, Orenda Center for Leadership Excellence, with the firm belief that inner wisdom guides every individual in his or her journey, and the role of a facilitator or coach is to help the individual reflect and derive their own insights. As a mentor coach, Ramesh partners with Cocharia to train aspiring coaches towards their L1, L2, and ACTC credentials with ICF. I'm both thankful and grateful to you, Ramesh, for taking the time to host the masterclass on positioning systemic team coaching, the challenges and the opportunities. A very warm welcome to you, Ramesh, on behalf of the ICF Bangalore Charter Chapter's team and group coaching community of practice. Over to you, Ramesh.
Thank you so much, Ravi. Um, so, uh, you know, so Ravi sent me a message saying we have a large number of sign-ups, and I see about 40 odd people already here. Now, um, one of the things with team coaching, and I'm sure all of you. So, just a quick show of hands. How many people actually do team coaching in this group? Three, five, I see about 8 or 10 hands. Oh, okay. So, the thanks, folks. So, one of the things, and those of you who are already team coaches realize that there are never any right answers. There is never, it's always surprises. Just, that's what the biggest challenge with team coaching is. Um, and, you know, though Ravi calls this a master class, I don't think I have the mastery or even claim to be anywhere close to mastery in terms of even understanding the topic that we have today. And one of the reasons why, when Ravi asked me, what do you think we should talk about? One of the things that came up for me is my biggest challenge, which is actually trying to, you know, get team coaching business, right? Which is typically, and talking to a lot of coaches, that's one of the things I realized that a lot of us are struggling with. So, disclaimer is, I'm not a master at that for sure, and I'm probably one of the worst people in this business in terms of selling because I don't know how to sell. What we're probably going to do is actually work together through this 1.5 hours that we have to try and find some answers for all of us. Um, and probably the only role I'm going to be playing here is to facilitate that conversation, right? And some of you who joined a little late, I was joking with a group who joined earlier saying that, I'm going to be doing very little talking today, partly because I don't have answers. And if there were answers, I don't know whether we even need to do a conversation of this kind. So we're going to be doing a conversation. So the invitation to everybody on the call is to participate, which would help even more if you can actually come on to video and share your wisdom with with over almost like 50 people on this call. The wisdom is huge, so we want to try and figure out how to uh, harness that wisdom. Okay, in terms of what we'll do today as such is one. Let me step back a bit. So this is not about getting your foot in the door. That's a slightly different topic, and I think you already have a lot of sessions. I know PK is doing some work on the business of coaching, which is actually how to get your foot in the door sort of thing. But my personal experience is that even with your foot in the door, your challenge to get clients to convert from whatever problems their statement they have into offering an opportunity to work with teams is the biggest gap. So to my mind, the foot in the door is far more easier than actually converting business into a team coaching opportunity. And that's what we're going to focus on. Once you have your foot in the door, what sort of conversations or what are the challenges that we have? What are the opportunities that we have which you can use to sort of uh, leverage to convert this opportunity into business finally? Most of us, I'm guessing, are coaches. So even getting coaching as a business going itself is a challenge. So team coaching is even more complex, basically because one of the biggest mindsets that I typically end up facing is that somehow people feel that it's a little more expensive. It's expensive, and that's what I hear, right? So what we'll actually do is like to invite people into this conversation by actually asking the question as to, in your experience, what do you think is your personal biggest challenge that you face when you try to position team coaching? And when I'm saying that, you already have an access into the organization, and generally we work with organizations, right? You already have access into the organization. So what is the biggest challenge you face in terms of positioning team coaching and actually converting that into business? So I'd like to hear from the group. In each of you, you can put your hand up, come off mute, and actually share that with the forum. Yes, Satyajit, I see your hand up. Go. Please do come in.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm into client handling, like consulting for a business growth and putting HR systems. I'm from Mumbai, so I see always a challenge that with the owners, that owners want to focus on the leaders. So whenever I started focusing on the leaders, they were happy with that. But when I started focusing on the team, they said it's a waste of time because the leaders are not good. Then what is the use of giving a training to them? And I was telling them that, I wanted to put a team collective pressure on the leader, but then the owner was not comfortable.
Hmm.
So he was saying the leaders are good, then automatically team building will happen, team coaching will happen. But if the leaders are bad, so the whole focus is on leaders, that is owner. They don't allow team because they feel that it's a waste of time.
Hmm.
And if leader is bad, this money is going to go west? Any team training or something. So that is my observation, and then I couldn't convince the owner on that.
Thank you, Satyajit. So what you're saying is that there is a tendency where people believe that leaders should take care of their teams, and if they're sort of sorted, uh, it'll automatically happen. So working with the other way around may not necessarily work for them. Okay, thank you. Anybody else likes to come in? Yeah, Shanti, go ahead, please.
I have a very opposite experience to what Satyajit has had. Here, the leaders say, coach my team, leave me out. I am not part of the team. They need fixing, not me.
Hmm. So how does that translate into a challenge into when it comes to getting business or converting that into an opportunity for you, Shanti?
Because then the outcome that the leaders are expecting are not possible unless you're all speaking the same language, focusing on a common goal. And when you keep the leader outside the team, the leader has a different set of goals, and the team continues to work on a set of goals that they, during the journey, feel are most important.
So in your case, the challenge really is that you do end up having opportunities coaching teams, but then it becomes dysfunctional because the leader is not aligned to what the team wants to get done.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, Ajit.
So I raised my hand and I realized after hearing Shanti that it's exactly what I wanted to say. I just will add into that is the conversation. I didn't have many, but a few conversation that went in that direction. The person said, would like this team coaching to be done for the team. So I happened to ask saying, so you are a part of the team? He said, no, I'm not part of the team. I'm the leader of the team. And therefore excluded himself out of it in any way and indicated to me that therefore the coaching has to be done for the team and not for me. It's not applicable for me. That was one. But another question that if I may add, since I had raised my hand, was that I had this lot of conversation, nothing converted into opportunity and business thereafter, but conversations. That confusion between training, facilitation, and team coaching. That we face it for other coaching, one-on-one coaching business also. But when it comes to team, it happens more with me that, how is it different from the training that you would do, or how is it different from so many other facilitation work that people do, or you may end up doing facilitation also. So I don't see much difference between coaching, team coaching, and facilitation workshop, let's say. That's what I face challenges with.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. So there is a confusion on what's the difference between facilitation, team coaching, training, and all of it. And can I add another nuance to that, Ajit?
Yes, please.
The other nuance which I personally face in that situation is that generally the rates for facilitation are much lower than team coaching in the market.
Okay, maybe
Right.
that's a good information for me. I haven't reached that stage yet. So
it's a tough one. Thank you. Yes, Dharmesh. Sudha, can I come to you? I see Dharmesh and Amlesh hands up on the screen.
Ajit and Shanti. So that's one. The other thing is for the leader to accept in terms of that his team performance can be improved, right? And then that has to, because if he employs the team coach, right, then it is something that he has to accept. And that may go against him. So that's one of the barrier that I see. And the other barrier from the HR side is that they know executive coaching and they can go to the market and get an executive coach and they can show because they have money to spend. However, as far as the team coaching is something that from the HR side, I don't think they understand. And that's not yet widely used terminology or the things which is common in the market.
So, so interesting topic. Thanks, Dharmesh. So the leader is not really sure, that investment that he or she makes, whether he can actually show impact for that investment. And because of which they shy away from committing for team coaching. That is the first point, if I understood right. And the second one is that key stakeholders not fully understand it. For them, coaching by itself is far easier. They know whom to reach out to and they just do what is. So they're not ready to move away from their standard approach for the need of coaching. And typically these key stakeholders generally are the HR teams who at least access coaches. Yeah. All right. Thanks. Yes, Amlesh.
Hi. My experience has been that any organization which is approached for team coaching, some level of coaching must be happening at individual level. So whether it is internal coaching or external coaches are there with them, But there is a coaching is established there. Then only I've seen them moving to team coaching, which to them and to me also at that time comes as if they are moving to another level. Now the challenge that I face in not in selling team coaching there, but how will I be able to secure the collective developmental or some other goals that they will set for the team, which they will bring together for this entire coaching journey. So how you will balance that collective with some individual developmental goals as well. Because why I'm saying that, more often than not, I have seen some assessments also might have been done, and that also comes along with that look, we have done so and so, and we will do, some workshops will also happen on some topics, and then please take it forward. Having said that, there are some individual objectives also if you look at their reports, and hence find a way to move forward with the same as well. So this is what is the biggest that I would say I have faced. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Ramesh. So just for me, so I'm going to clarify, going to request you to clarify something. So what you're seeing as a challenge is that generally one is organizations who already know a bit of coaching is where, they might have an option for team coaching. But your biggest challenge seems to be how to balance the group, collective goals, so to say, versus an individual goal.
Yeah.
So the question I have for you, Amlesh, is how does that come in the way of you being able to sell or convert it into an opportunity?
Yeah, because unless until they will be fully convinced that there is overall value for them,
Right.
or else they won't go in with this, because bringing 8 or 10 people together session after session over a period of even 6 months or 1 year is a challenge. Individuals you can align for an hour or 45 minutes, it gets done. But if you have to align the calendars, and more often than not, we are talking about mid leaders, senior leaders. So it becomes quite some challenge. And they may also look at that how far my productivity or other decision making is getting impacted in aligning. We know in corporates, most of us have spent some time there, how difficult it is to align calendars for some meetings, right? Particularly at mid and senior levels. So that's where, that's this establishing the value in terms of, yes, that is not only be collective, because somewhere if they have approached you for team coaching, some bit of value is already established. So if they're balancing, if I'm able to push it through and able to share if possible some examples also, then it floats through much better.
Yeah. So would it be okay if I sort of take away from what you said, Amlesh, saying that there is organizations are wondering whether, when 8 or 10 people are off for a day and a half over a period of time, how is it going to affect business? How are they going to manage it? Like you said, aligning calendars to make it happen. So the simple logistics of doing it sometimes is daunting, and because of which getting agreement can be a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
okay.
Thank you.
Sudha?
Yeah. I think in addition to whatever has been already shared, Ramesh, I did resonate a lot with what Ajit had to share. I think the key challenge is also in helping them understand the differences and the nuances that's between, facilitation, workshops, training, their requirements, and the need for their quick fix. Like, they would know that, yeah, what you're saying is fantastic, Sudha. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. We want to enhance the trust. We want to improve the communication and all of that. But how can we do it in probably half a day? So it's like they're looking for quick fix. So team coaching definitely is a little longer engagement.
Great point.
So that's one thing I want to highlight. And this may be very unique to me. But still, I feel this is important for people who wear multiple roles or establish multiple identities on social media. Hence, I'm sharing this. Because people also know me as that I do some specific workshops and things like that. So when I go for approaching for team coaching, I always find it difficult uh, to only establish this role of myself as a team coach. They might be interested in a couple of other things that I'm doing, and then I naturally see that they would see, oh, that's only 3 hours, so I would probably want to do that. Hence, I'm seeing my multiple roles or identities coming against my role as a team coach as well. So it's very important you establish one identity, one role while you're pitching in with your client is a person learning.
So in a way, both are what you said is sort of interconnected, right? So the one
Yes,
is as an organization, they want to see quick results. So they prefer to do something where they can show something or whatever it is quickly. In a way, also aligned to what Amlesh is saying, they can't have people away from business for a long time. And two is because of the way you position or people know you, they tend to get you to or push you towards doing something which they know you can anyway do
exactly.
rather than offering team coaching. Great. Thank you. So any other anything different that anybody else has apart from what we have spoken so far?
Ramesh, Raju here, not
Yeah.
specifically about um, having a dialogue about for a team coaching which would lead to business, but maybe I'm jumping the gun, and maybe we'll cover this later. But when one is actually coaching a team of senior leaders, there is often the intra-team dynamics
Mhm.
that needs to be handled and handled effectively. So whether it's negotiation, conflict, one-upmanship, projecting oneself, for that, at the end of the day, it's the pyramid, and
Mhm.
who's going to move up, and that sometimes leads to conflict. So that often can become a bit of a challenge when you're actually into team coaching. So it's a step after business development. I just thought I'd call that out as well.
Sure. So that's part of the dynamics of team coaching, and I believe, and I saw communication, right? That's a topic by itself, which which needs to get addressed. So
Very true.
yeah, so if it's okay with you, Raju, we'll keep it out of scope.
Absolutely fine with me.
Yeah. So we have I've actually listed down 7 sort of themes that are coming up as a group here in terms of our personal experiences, in terms of actually being able to convert and get team coaching opportunities to work on, right? Um, uh, yeah. So if it is okay with the group, um, I'm going to take about 2 or 3 minutes from you to actually type out these here so that I didn't do it as we are speaking because I'm not very good at typing and speaking. If that is okay. Yeah. Because what we're going to do, and Ravi, while we are doing that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can we create 7 breakout rooms? I think we should be okay. We have 55, so it's a manageable number in each breakout room. And I hope folks who are not on video will be able to participate in that conversation.
Right away, Ramesh.
Yeah, just create the rooms and don't open it. I'm going to put down these themes that we captured
Sure.
on the chat box. Um, Generally, I'm used to having Priya on the same call. So we normally share this today. Unfortunately, uh, she's doing another workshop. Now, for those of you who don't know Priya, she's my partner both in business and life. So we sort of do most of the work that we do together. Okay, that's 1, 2.
Yeah, but I just posted my question here. That was this. This is Ram here. So I'm just
Okay.
curious about how AI is going to play a key role in the whole scheme of things. So that's something which I get to hear many a times from the leaders about. Yeah. Anyway, we can leverage AI, Gen AI in getting most of the solutions. So how is that going to play a key role? So what are the strategies that we need to take into consideration or leverage it in our favor?
And Ram, you're going to be part of one of these groups. See if you can bring, that conversation fits in with the theme in that group. So I don't know which group you're going to be with, right?
Sure.
Leader. All right. Welcome back, everybody. I just realized that, problem is maybe it's because there are two screens on two screens on of the people who joined. So a lot more new faces seem to have popped up on my screen after coming back from the breakout room.
So, Ramesh, with your permission, before we begin, can we take a quick group photograph?
Sure.
So, Sudha,
You're saying something so that you're on mute. Bala, you were also saying something, I think, earlier.
So I was saying I just joined before the breakout room. I was in another session till 5:30, so I couldn't join before that. So I just joined when you were typing the 7 questions and getting the breakout room done.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I was just requesting all of you to pose for the mandatory photograph that we do. So if you all can smile and give me a few minutes because I'll be moving between screens. Yeah, I'm just now going with the first screen I see on my laptop. Your biggest smile, please.
Yeah. I'm making sure my bald head doesn't reflect the light behind me.
I'm just having sudden
That's
challenge
the
to come on
enlightenment.
video.
That's the
so I'm just trying.
enlightenment. The aura around you.
No, Ajit, I'm hoping to
Yeah.
be enlightened after this debrief.
Okay. I'm moving to the second screen. One more time. Smile, please. Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
you
you
can
for that.
continue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I think Preeti had a challenge with her video suddenly. So, but we still captured your name, I think, Preeti.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks, folks. So, I hope you had an opportunity to have some conversation. I know about, I think it was 15 minutes, right? It was quite short for some of these topics, but I hope we have at least a couple of options or suggestions from each of the groups in terms of that particular theme as to what the group thinks could be something that can be done about that, right? And hopefully, and anybody else, as each team sort of comes in and present. So let's sort of try and do that in about a couple of minutes. So each team will start from team one. Unmute yourself, one person from the team. Just share what couple of recommendations that the team has for the specific theme that the team was working on. And then the rest of the group, if there's anybody else who has any other thoughts, please feel free to come in and add to that. Yeah, and I'll also do some of it from my side. Yeah. So can we start with team one?
I can start, and folks in the team, please pitch in. So Ramesh, we had two views. One is equipping the client with the differences of what team coaching is not before the engagement begins. And there was one that if still team coaching does not resonate with most as they are progressing and the leader says only coach the leaders, don't focus on the team, maybe try and understand the environment and circumstances at that point in time to see what has changed, what has evolved, why is it not a relevant solution now. So those were the two things we were discussing and debating. Team, anything else you want to add?
Or anybody else has any thoughts on that? So the theme is basically saying organizations say you work with on the leaders and the rest of it will get taken care of. So sometimes they're not comfortable going into working with the team. So you have a challenge with that. Anybody else has any thoughts beyond what Shanti has just shared? Okay. I don't see any hands up. So one of the things that sort of I've tried, but I have to also admit it has not worked. But I've tried, which is different. Is that the question I ask is what is it from a business standpoint that you want to improve? So the business impact that you want to see, right? So the question really, and some of these conversations, what I'm finding is, especially this particular theme, it's good to have at a CEO level. It's very difficult to have a conversation around this on with for example somebody in HR or an L&D, or for that matter just the team leader himself or herself, right? It is good to have it with at the CEO level. So really asking what's the business impact you want to see, and if there is an reasonably good idea of what the business impact is, actually explaining to them how working with a team can actually make that impact happen instead of just that leader being coached. So the effort that the leader has to take to make that business outcome happen, because they have to then work with their teams to make it happen, whereas a collective thing can be more impactful. So, like I said, I've tried that conversation, but in one case where I tried it, it actually didn't work for me. But I think it's one of the other ways of doing it. So focusing on business impact rather than trying to fix problems. So typically, at least my personal experience has been that the problem statement that comes up is that this team is not working well, and the focus is on the dysfunctions rather than on the business metrics. So if you shift it to business metrics, there's a possibility, at least in my view, of having a better conversation. That's the thought I had. Right. Thank you, Group 1. So can we move to Group 2? This is a tough one. We really want to know what the group has to say about it. The team leader refuses to be part of the team.
It'd be great, Mona, if you talk, because I just want to add in, Mona came in from the view that she had been part of a team coaching and how it was when she was and how it did not help but the way it was. So I think that was very useful for us. It'll be, Mona, is that okay if you were able to talk?
I think I would probably, I'll just explain the gist of it, what we discussed. We actually zeroed on business impact, right, Rama? We said that ideally the leader, the MD, needs to be a part of it, but it has to be a mix of it. It has to be sometimes the leader could be a part of it. Sometimes because we got coached as a leadership team, so the MD was a part of it in most of the things. So at times, it was slightly uncomfortable for us in terms of team coaching. And at the later part, since it was a 2-year program for us, and the end of the coaching, it was quite stressful after some 5-6 sessions. It became very stressful for us. So what I felt was that if it actually moves on to a business impact matrix and how business is getting impacted, rather than just being on the team coaching part, how team are acclimatizing to each other and how is the role getting acclimatized to each other. I think that is also important, but eventually at certain areas, business did get impacted. There were issues which got sorted out, but there were issues which got created also because of the entire environment which got created, because there were certain issues which was getting solved out in the entire process. So there were role clarities and there were, conflicting situations. I could feel that we went through a lot of conflicting situations. And at times we wanted to be away from it. And, we didn't want it to solve in front of everybody. So that was the impact. So I think what is more important is probably if it could be focused towards the business impact. And that's what the MD was more keen on. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say, Mona, is that it was a little stressful for the team, basically because you couldn't be yourself, is it? In some cases,
you had to be yourself. Because in a corporate environment, there are a lot of perceptions that you have to manage. So what happens in a team coaching, probably in the first 3 sessions, you're able to manage that. But the moment you move out of 3 sessions, you're in the 4th or the 5th session as a part of the participant of team coaching, I don't think so you're able to manage it. And then, and as soon as the deep diving starts, that's when it becomes, you slightly feel uncomfortable that, things are opening up in front of a lot of people, the leadership team probably, which you don't want things to open up. So, yeah. So I
It's
think that was
interesting.
I think that was something, because certain things need not open up. Certain things can be just managed well. That so the worry was that would we be judged? Would it be captured in appraisal? And also, since the leader is a part of it, I think there's a perception that leader carries. So I think that was a real worry.
Sure. No, so one comment I have is whoever was your team coach, kudos to that person because that person made you uncomfortable. Because I think that's the most important. So, that's when transformation happens. You can't, change doesn't come without discomfort. And I think you're this thing, right? See, um, like I said, I commented before we started. This is a tough one. Yeah, Anuj, you had some thoughts.
After you, Ramesh, once you're finished.
No, I'm saying this. So yeah, so this is a tough one, and there's no easy answer if the leader says I'm not going to be part of it. And what I'm hearing, the group having a conversation is that the group sort of said it can also be tough when the leader is there. So we not necessarily make sure that the leader is part of that, right? So and this happens quite often. So one of the things which and this is I believe one of the competencies of a coach, right? And that's the advantage of working from a systemic lens. The coach helping the team work from a systemic lens. Even if the leader is outside the scope or stays outside the scope, from a system standpoint, it is the coach's role to help the team figure out how to work with the leader too. So one of the key stakeholders is the leader. So can we, as a coach, actually say, yes, I'll work with your team, even if you're not going to be part of it, but bring in the systemic lens and say, now that you're part of this in the system, your boss is a key stakeholder. As a team, how are you going to start setting expectations with your boss? So that's also a possibility. So it is not mandatory that the leader should be part of the team, but as a coach, you can actually facilitate a conversation where the group empowers themselves to integrate the leader into the process. Yeah. So that's one. Sorry, Anuj. Yours.
Yeah. No, so my build, Ramesh, actually, in a way, it's connected to what you said that, if the coach is able to create a space of um, psychological safety, which will be difficult if everyone else is not on board and is not willing to, maintain the confidentiality within the room and not be judgmental, not, you know, if the atmosphere is one in which people are not encouraged to open up, be vulnerable, and be themselves, then of course a lot of the coaching goals may get compromised anyways. The whole team journey of coaching may get compromised. While making, I think, the team members that feel uncomfortable is a part of the journey. At the end of it, it's like that, that Tuckman's storming, norming curve. If they stay in the storming phase by the end of the coaching journey and the coach is not able to get them out of it and get them a semblance of a trust coming together and a connection coming together at a deeper level, then it may not serve the purpose. However, if the coach does a great job as well as the leader does, and it's perfectly okay for the leader to come in for some sessions and step out for some sessions till such time that the team feels comfortable fully sharing whatever they feel that needs to be shared and find a way to bring it together with the help of the coach, how to bring up, how to escalate, because a high performing team does require that comfort to be able to raise conflicts in a constructive way where the issue needs to be resolved and not about finding, who's to blame and pointing fingers. So as long as the conversation, I think, is moving from a person pointing finger conversation to an issue based conversation, then I think the progress is happening. And a combination of leaders stepping in and out at the right moments can be facilitated with the help of the coach, building that space of trust overall.
and helping the team to come out a stronger and a connected team.
Absolutely. No, thanks, Anuj. And like as they commented when Raju brought this up, the process of team coaching and managing disagreements in the team is out of the scope of our conversation today. So I'm just sticking to the process of whether we engage with a team of that kind, or if so, how do we do it, right? And actually, I don't know if Rama remembers the first team that we coached together, Rama, the CEO agreed to be part of. First of all, he said no. Then he agreed to be part of it. But when we did one-on-one conversations with the team, we realized that he's one of the biggest disruptors there. So what Rama and I did was we did a one-on-one conversation with the CEO, saying this is what your team is saying, and if that's the case, if you want conversations to happen in the room, what are you going to commit to? And one thing he said is, I'll try and not say anything till everybody has spoken. And he kept to that, right? He did something disruptive in between and all that, but whatever said and done, at least he kept to that commitment. So that was an interesting thing. I don't know if yeah. So Rama, we did this together.
Yeah. Fully with that. Yeah. I mean, I hear what Anuj is saying, and from what Mona said, to me it sounded like it was a very disruptive coaching engagement, because she also added that it was so stressful that people would be extremely uneasy when the coaching session, you knew that today was your coaching session, everybody was feeling really uneasy about it. So and you went into it, it was not a pleasant feeling, and it was used in the 360 later as well. So it clearly to the point that maybe at the beginning of the engagement itself, those needed to be brought in, to say that the first few sessions are going to be about trust building, and to create the space that everybody is respectfully able to talk to the team and about the issues and not get personal. So it felt as if that was not done, and so that
again, there's too many aspects that could have been done differently. But so I saw Dharmesh's hand up and Satyajit. Do come in, Satyajit.
Sure.
Sorry,
very crisp.
Can you just? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I was going to share a similar experience, but I'll just make it crisp. That we had a conversation with the leader in terms of when he explained the problems of the team, that the team is not opening up. And then as we explained the process, the leader was mature enough to say, I will be there at the beginning, set the expectations, and I'll come at the end when the team has come up with the action items. And then I will promise that I will fulfill those action items, whatever is on the management. And the team came up with some action items for themselves as well as for the management. One of that was the manager should not be in some of the meetings because then we can take the decisions. So that was the action item, and the leader committed to that. So yeah, so it need not be that the leader is part of the team.
Yeah, thanks, Dharmesh. Yes, Satyajit.
I just wanted to have some clarification. That as you said that in the team meeting when the boss is not there, you need to apply a systemic lens. So does that mean that when he's not there, you need to ask them that what is the boss perspective according to you? Will that be the right question to have that systemic lens in that meeting when the boss is not there?
So the systemic lens is, first of all, it's two stages, Satyajit, right? So one stage, the first stage is saying who's my system, who are part of that system, and who's going to affect my. When I say my, I'm talking about the team's outcomes. Where are the linkages? Understanding that, right? The second part of it is saying, now in these linkages, which are those linkages which are supporting and which are not supporting? Where it's broken, where it's sometimes not even existent. In the case of the boss, there's a chance that the linkage is existent, but it is not functional. So then asking the team, what will help you strengthen that connection? And it's about really helping the team talk through that. What can they do? See, at the end of the it's important to remember as a coach, whether it's as a team coach or as an individual coach, our role is to help people empower themselves to act. And in this case, how do we as a coach sort of empower the team to think through ways that they can change the situation for themselves? Especially, for example, in the case of the boss, right? How do they get the boss in? How do they improve the relationship there? What needs to change? And like Ramesh was saying, maybe they'll come and actually, and you can, as a coach, even facilitate it, where you get the boss in and say, the team has something to say to you. And you need not get the team to speak. You can say, this is what the team wants to say to you. This is, as a group, they feel that these are the things which you need to change, for example, right? So you can figure out what is the right way to do it, but find a way to close the loop and help the team sort of align. Is that making sense?
Yeah. So what I understand from the linkage is the behavioral linkage, right? The formal and the informal.
Yeah. All of team coaching is about coaching connections. And I think if we can keep that in mind, it is connections between individuals. If we can keep that in mind, then this becomes a lot more easier. Yeah, Amlesh.
Yeah. So my take here is that, in team coaching, to me, is the team and the desired outcome, which are the heroes. Leader is not really my hero. And if in the design process, at some point in time, I sense that the organization is too hierarchical, or that particular team versus the leader relationship is hierarchical, or there is some superhero, managing director or CEO, rest of the C-suite, even though they are sitting in the C-suite, but they're in awe of that person, I design the program excluding them straight away. And then how to bring them overboard, on board, as we progress through the process. You see, the initial discussion with the HR leader, I hope and pray that the CEO also joins in those discussion, or some other, suppose it's happening within the business, then the business head, commercial head is joining in that process, in that designing what they really are looking for in this team. And then I start interacting, and this hierarchical thing, I sense it. If I sense it, the whole purpose gets defeated if they are in the room. It's better that they are not in the room. How to take them in the loop is my role, and that I will do in whichever best way possible.
A great point, Amlesh. So team coaching is not about saying this is the only way to do it. Do what is right at that point in time. I mean, it's the same concept of empathy, right? You start from where they are, because then you work towards where you need to be. So if they are in a situation where they're uncomfortable with the team, I mean, with some of their stakeholders, how do you help them get comfortable before bringing them in? Great point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So interest of time, I'm going to move ahead. Team 3. Team coaching, facilitation, confusion that is there. In a way, also linked to the last point, which is saying, the last point, which is saying that because, teams, the organization sometimes wants to get quick results, because they know that I also do other things other than coaching, they try and push me into taking that as an opportunity rather than going with team coaching. So we can address both together. So team 3 and team 6, team 7, we can do a parallel conversation if that's okay. Unless it's very different. So do feel free to come in. Anybody from team 3 or team 7?
Yeah, Ramesh. Okay, go ahead, Krishna. Go ahead.
Okay, one of the things, Ramesh, we discussed in the team 3 is, yes, there are a lot of overlaps between facilitations and team coaching, but at the end of the day, both of them ultimately driven by the contract. So what contract you sign up with your client or the sponsor, and everything. Even both the things, as even theoretically, they have their competencies to demonstrate, and they have their framework, and even team coaching supports you do certain kind of tools and processes to build the team, all those things. But yes, at the end of the day, the one thing is strongly emerged in our discussion is the team contract and the desired outcome. Whether you follow this thing, but certain things as a process driven, the neutrality more or less remain the same. Where the training is completely, absolutely different. But when it comes to facilitation and the team coaching, a lot of overlaps. We observe very minute difference. That's what something. Yes. Anybody want to add anything, team and team three?
Yeah, just a perspective here is we also touched upon that. See, what facilitation does is it brings in a maneuverability for the coach, and coaches basis their own skin in the game decide how much of the maneuverability they want to bring in. End of the day, it is like what Krishnan said: the contract matters, conduct matters, and how the team is progressing towards their overarching goal.
Sure. Thanks, Anup and Krishnan. I saw Raju wanted to say something. Raju?
No, I think Anup has covered most of it. I was just about to say that. I think essentially it was that there is like Krishnan said, there is a lot of overlap between coaching and facilitation, and when involved in a team coaching engagement, it is best not to buttonhole oneself into either coaching or facilitation. Move, because there is an overlap, and feel comfortable with it.
And absolutely. And I think that's a great perspective or reframe that I think as team coaches everybody can have. I think the power that coaches bring into a situation. So when I talk about facilitation, you're talking about group work, right? You're talking about a team trying to get to an outcome. You are, even as a team coach, going to do some facilitation to create those outcomes and move the team in the direction that they want to go to. But the biggest what do you call lever that a coach brings in is that what I talked about a little while earlier, the opportunity for the team to reflect. And I think that's the primary difference. So whether you call it facilitation or team coaching, at the end of the day, as a coach, can you bring in a possibility for the team to reflect for themselves? Sometimes mull over some tough things which are working, not working. And to me, the biggest difference is that, like I said, team coach, you're actually coaching connections. You're coaching the connections in the system. Really, that's what you're doing. And the outcome of that will lead, hopefully that will lead to the outcomes that the team wants, right? Like I said, like I put it in a lighter note earlier before, when I don't remember who shared this point, but when whoever shared it said it, is that the only challenge is that team coaching is perceived to be more expensive than a facilitation. That's the problem with the market. So it's a monetary issue, really. So, but as a coach, if we can keep that aside, it's actually quite easy to do it. Now, one of the other, what do you call it? So I have also faced this challenge quite a few times, right? I mean, and one of the other things which I sort of try and help. So let me put it this way. Most cases, facilitation is a short-term thing. It is most cases, and I know there are some situations where you do long-term facilitation engagements, but most cases is a short-term thing. It is 1 or 2 engagements and then you're done, right? In coaching, it's not that. You're also working with them to make the actions work, because they're learning from doing, and part of coaching is you're helping them learn from that doing. So that's why it is a little longer. Actually helping organizations understand how that can make a difference for them. Because the real learning comes from doing and not from purely a theoretical discussion in a conference room saying, this is the action items that I have. So that's the other piece, the perspective, sorry, at least from my point of view. Yes, Ramesh.
A related question to that, because this is something I'm also facing, right? Because if you're selling it as a team coaching engagement, it is over a period of 6 months, and the overall price tag is pretty high. And if you're just selling it as a facilitation, it's like price tag is very low and it's the entry point. So how do you tackle that, or just wanted to know your experience?
Actually, the good news is that I don't sell facilitation at all. And that was a point which Sudha was struggling with, right? She's known as both, and it becomes a challenge. The market knows her that way. At least I don't have that challenge because the market knows me only as a coach.
Mhm.
And so they know that, I'm going to be expensive. So even if they start the conversation with me, that part of it is already solved to an extent. So in a way, I think it's important for us to be clear on how we want to position ourselves. How is the market perceiving us? Whatever said and done, coaching pays much more than facilitation. There's no second doubt. I mean, no two ways about it. So can we leverage that part of us and see whether we can position ourselves a little differently? And the team was saying earlier, whether it's actually facilitation or coaching, can we do it the way a coach would do it? So yeah, I don't think there's a good answer for it, Dharmesh, but it is a challenge. So one of the things maybe, I heard Ravi saying that you have an IAF meeting later this month. One of the things you can actually debate in that IAF work, your conference is, why can't we start charging more for what we do? Every one of the facilitators I know bring in huge value, and you're really underselling yourself. I mean, that's the only comment I have in that sort of rates that people quote.
I think
Either
that's
it's
a
because
good
it
one, yeah.
does. Yeah. Really underselling yourself. Most facilitators have, at least 20, 25 years of experience. I mean, for that experience, whether you're a coach or a facilitator, you should be charging much, much higher. I mean, that's my personal comment. So, all right. Yeah, Mrinal. Long time. How are you?
All well, thank you very much, Ramesh. So very interesting points, and just two things I would say: difference between facilitation and a team coaching or even a group coaching. So to say is, in facilitation, yes, whatever is the outcome we are looking at, which could be a business outcome or the team outcome, which is more of a defined in a collective way. Obviously, that's what we facilitate and make it happen, or the group makes it happen. Actually, you are just a catalyst there. However, in group coaching or team coaching, what I've realized out of the experiences, not only the outcome comes in the picture, but also opportunities for those individuals to really work on their developmental aspects or growth aspects, or on their, you can say, either on their personality or leadership skills. That opportunity is a lot for them to look at, observe, reflect, because there is a lot of comparison that happens when other people are contributing, sharing, questioning. That self introspection really helps them to be more honest with themselves about what they need to really focus on, or where do they lack, or do they talk too much, or they don't listen. And that feedback becomes more valid, relevant, and acceptable or palatable for them when they look at it in comparison. Individually, when they speak about, people might claim that yes, I am a good listener, but it really shows up when it happens in a group, and there is no doubt about it for their own self. So the self acceptance is very high. Those are some of the nuances, and there are maybe otherwise, as you rightly said, they are both go hand in hand. And I like the way you said it, that if you can play the role of a coach, if we know we are playing that role, I think then we are doing that team coaching. And in regards to that rate about the facilitators need to be paid higher, I would also like to bring in that maybe the coaching community can also think about that the rate that some of the coaches they ask for, in spite of that 25, 30 years of experience, is sometimes really, really, feels like peanuts about what is being offered.
Yeah.
Because clients are willing to pay only that much, and the coaches are willing to lap it up. So we need to also look at in this community itself that how can we increase that. I think that would be a collective responsibility, and if you're able to show that the value that we are able to create as coaches is so much more than what they're thinking, that value is how we have to really see how we can add to that individual and to the organization. If they look at it in a complete way, I think that will be important also. And one another just last point is we need to have that courage, whether it is in facilitation or coaching. If you have to increase the rate individually, each of us, whether we are a coaches or whether we are a facilitator, because many of us could be playing both the roles, is to be having that willingness to say no to a client, where they are what they're offering, we feel like it's peanuts and it's not the value that we are offering. We need to think very highly about the value we bring in. Only then that confidence to say no very politely really comes. That's where I would like to pause. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mrinal. Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to value our experience, and that experience is not directly translatable to what people, it's not what do you call it? It's not like a product, right? And this value is very different in the way it's perceived, and we can change that perception. Absolutely.
True.
So, just in interest of time, moving ahead, and I'm in team 7. Anything you want to add? Because, like I said, it's a very similar sort of topic.
Hi, Ramesh. I was in team 7. I think one
Yeah.
of our members also dropped out. We looked at it with 3 points. One was, would it help the organization if we were to get their expectations very clearly understood and set, just like how you would do SMART goals, right? So will that help? Just because you're looking at a certain speed for an outcome, which means the outcome has to be defined very, very well. So therefore, that was one point. The second was the team composition itself. What could be a direction that you could take on? Should it be group of people who have their seniors as well as their juniors present in that same particular team? It has different pros and cons to it. You'll have to communicate and position it properly, manage it properly, but that's perhaps a value that can come in. The logic of why that can bring in a value is, if you're looking at something that needs to be done with speed, then a lot of that system gets addressed through this consideration. And the third was, along with team coaching, if a one-on-one follow-up conversation is also a part of that offering.
Okay. Thank you, Avinash. Can we move to team 4? So before that, we've sort of completely run out of time, busted great conversations. So I want to check in with a group. What do you suggest we do? Because we have 3 more teams which have done some work. What do you think is a good way to go about this? We just have another 3 minutes really scheduled.
If it's okay, can I suggest we extend by 10 minutes and hear what they have to say, because I think it would be important.
Sure. I'm okay with it. I just want to check in with the rest of the group. They're
Also,
okay.
you can put in a chat, and then you can go through that. You can put in a chat about it.
Yeah. So one thing, yeah, absolutely. So can I request teams 5 and that the stakeholders do not understand team coaching? They do what is easy. That is one, and the other one is collective versus individual goals. How confusion, how to support it. Can you just put a couple of points on chat, and we'll anyway, if it's okay, those of us who want to stay back. In any case, I think Ravi is recording the session, so those who need to drop out, it's okay, but rest of us can stay back and then listen to teams 4 and 5, 4, 5 and 6. Can we go with team 4 then? And just in interest of time, we'll make it a quick conversation. Who's there from team 4?
I can team 4.
Go ahead.
Yes, Satyajit, please go ahead if you're.
No, go ahead. I thought somebody was there.
Okay, please do chime in if I miss something. So I think what we discussed is in order for the investment versus returns and that debate, to be covered. The initial aspect, which is the contracting, has to be very strong with the stakeholders. They need to know exactly what to expect from team coaching. And for that, a lot of pre-work needs to be done, diagnostics need to be done to ensure that whatever expectations as a coach you're setting, are upfront. Also, the contracting has to keep happening through the process. It's not just a one-time thing. We discussed that we need to keep doing it because it's not a fixed process, it's a dynamic process, team coaching, and therefore we need to keep contracting again, meeting the stakeholders, taking feedback, recontracting to ensure that again we're aligning on the outcomes and expectations upfront. So largely our discussion was around balancing that, and we need to also make the stakeholders responsible, to be part of. So it's a three-way thing. They need to be part of setting the expectations with the team as well, that this is what they are expecting while investing in the team. So not just with the coach, but with the team as well. So that these are some of the things we discuss. Satyajit, would you want to come in and add some points?
Yeah, thanks, ma'am. You rightly said one is the contract, the second which we added is the awareness. Because they should be aware that it is not a team training, it's not a team mentoring or team facilitation, it's a team coaching. And what is that exact difference? And what will be the before and after situation? After is basically the projected situation, which can happen. It can be your synergy changes, or the connections getting changed, the outcomes getting changed. What can be that? So that awareness has to be given to the stakeholders. Then probably they will value it more. I think the challenge what we face is they are not clear about exactly what is the team coaching.
Sure.
That is the basic hurdle. And then the return of investment is another challenge. But I think that hurdle is also, I think they will find the investment is worth. I'm sure contract and the awareness and play an important role.
Sure. So what I'm hearing the say is the team says make sure that you do enough understanding and diagnosis to make sure there's a contract which is clear. But personally, having said that, even if you do that as you go along, things are going to change, right? So always be contracting is a great idea, but that's part of the process. The challenge here is really about convincing the leader that there is going to be a return on investment. So there are two things which comes to mind, and one of which I've tried. So I'll start with that first. I actually told this organization which was doubting that this is going to give some return. I said, yes, I cannot. My role is a coach, and I can only facilitate the outcomes. The team has to actually create that impact, right? So yeah, you're right. There is no guarantee that you're going to get a return on investment. And the interesting thing is that deal came through because I was probably the only coach who actually said that it is up to the team. But what I also did is I helped that, in this case, the leader of the team who was in the conversation with us, to understand what he could do to make sure that the return on investment happened, or at least try and, ensure that few of these, moving parts are taken care of already before the coaching starts, right? So one of the things is he actually spent a lot of time with his team to get them to understand what is coaching. Part of it, in this case, it was me and Priya who were working together on that project. So we spent a lot of time with the team to help them understand how it's going to help them. One-on-one conversations as a group conversation. So we actually got the team also bought in before the actual engagement. So we did a lot of pre-work. So it was not just helping the leader recalibrate, the team also recalibrate, helping them to understand what is it that they need to do to make sure it works. So these things about being open sharing what is needed, making sure that they're committing time for the whole engagement, committing time to act on what what comes out of each of these conversations. So things like that. So we gave them a lot of 3 or 4 ideas as to what to do. So they actually came to us. See, the other one is which like I said, I've not tried, but one of the things which possibly we can think of is how do you link your so one of the costs, the primary cost of team coaching is what you charge, right? As a link it to outcomes, saying that if you get this outcome, this is the bonus I need, for example, right? So rather than saying this is my rate and that's it, saying I'm okay with taking a very minimum charging you, let's say, in a 15 lakh contract, I'm willing to charge you just 2 lakhs if you don't get an outcome. But if you do get an outcome, it's not going to be 15 lakhs, it's going to be 20 lakhs, for example. I'm just giving some thoughts, right? It's possible. So in this market, we still haven't started thinking that way, but that's something which I want to offer the group. Like I said, I've not tried it. I've not had the opportunity so far, but we could be a little aggressive on that if needed, right? So let's move on. Team 5. Stakeholders do not understand team coaching. Team 5 is not here. All right.
So, there. Ram, you want to share? I mean, similar to what you discussed right now, Ramesh. So it's outcome based. I think the products could be diversified. It could be team coaching, group coaching, or facilitation. But ultimately, if you can focus on the outcome and what they are looking for, would we be able to position ourselves better?
Right.
So that's one thing which we discussed.
Yeah. Absolutely. Outcome-based pricing is definitely one option.
Yeah, I've put in another point. Yeah, there are different points, but one of the points I've put in there is if the stakeholders don't understand, just like a start to anything, if somebody don't understand, we attempt to make them understand. I think that is we can't move away from that.
Yeah.
So how do we make them understand the quality of our conversation, the quality of our inquiries with them, to make them understand the distinction is where the buy-in can happen. And I think what works usually is not trying to force fit that you should go for it. I think that works. When we are able to really convey the value and really bring the distinction and allowing them to ask some questions to clarify, and in responding to those questions, if the client is able to really see, oh, that's how group coaching or team coaching works. If the client is willing, I think they would agree. If they are not yet matured, they will not agree. And I think that's how I approach my clients, not being too attached to it, but really ensuring that they understand, even if they don't sign the contract. I think it is our responsibility that all of us, we are able to create an awareness for the client that this is what a team coaching is, even if the business doesn't come. And that is where we have really made the client mature enough to start thinking differently or to see the team coaching differently than maybe whatever the other kind of intervention they have been used to. I think that helps a lot.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mrinal, for sharing that. And the way I'm relating to it is that those of us who've been in this business of coaching for over at least last 7 to 8 years, I started this about 10 years back, right? We went through the same issue because most organizations and stakeholders didn't even understand what coaching was.
Absolutely.
So we were actually selling coaching at that point in time.
Yeah.
Right now we're saying team coaching, we as a group or as a community need to actually start educating people, even if the business comes or not. And I think that's a fantastic point. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Group 6. So they're used to coaching, so they're not sure of how collective goals will work and how individual goals, coaching goals for leaders will be addressed. Any thoughts from group 6?
Indat, do you want to go ahead?
Ramesh, you want to go ahead? I think
Abhimanyu,
we've
you want
lost a few
to
people.
go ahead? You had some good points.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, I've already put the point in the chat window, right? So one is how do we convert that more as a selling point, right? If the organization is not looking at an individual goals and the team goals as the similar or the same, it's a good opportunity to convert that in the as a selling point, and then we can say how can we help you align the team goals with the individual goals, and as a result, how that will benefit the organization. That's
Absolutely. And I think it's important to help the team organization understand how the process of team coaching works so that both get addressed actually.
Yeah.
So the process of team coaching, by the process itself, actually takes care of both the challenge. I mean, what seems to be a divergent goal is actually not a divergent goal as far as team coaching is concerned. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess we have covered everybody. Anybody has any other thoughts before we sort of wind up?
Abhimanyu.
So thanks. See, one other thing that is critical to how individuals and the team as a collective align the outcomes of a coaching assignment to their individual context is how well has the homework or the pre-work been done in terms of seeing the problem statements from different hierarchical levels or from different levels, whether it's the front level, the execution level, or the implementation level, so that how the problem manifests at different levels, or the problem statements or the pain areas or the areas where they want to get better at. So one thing is very clear that I call it the 4A's: awareness, alignment, actions, and accountability. That requires some WIFM for each person. So as a coach, while you're doing the the context setting and the contracting, it's important to understand the problem from each of those stakeholders, sample representative from their point of view, so that you can connect with them and build in, as you said, it's a engagement of connections. So that's one take on it. The other is what kind of sponsor support that you're going to get. And often it's the business, and again, business wants to see results, the same results at different, in different manifestations at different levels, even if it is performance. And that's the other thing, Ramesh, alluding to what you said, that what a problem exists at a CXO level, what change they want to see will be fairly strategic, but at an operational execution level, what change looks for them at the execution is going to be quite different. And that's where I said, it's about how you individualize it and then build in the collective.
Absolutely.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Thanks so much for your patience, everybody. We busted even the 10 minutes we recontracted. So over to you, Ravi. You're on mute, Ravi.
So I'm both thankful and grateful to you, Ramesh, for taking the time to host the masterclass for us. Personally, have taken away a lot from it. So thank you, coaches, for joining us this evening. Our next team and group coaching communities practice masterclass is on December 2nd, which will be the last COP of the year. So looking forward to see you there, and have a great evening ahead and a lovely week ahead too.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
For
Thanks,
such
Ramesh.
wonderful